Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Guys, this video is going to be filled with charts in just a second here. I just want to introduce the topic, tell you what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about Bitcoin in regards to its recent move downwards. We've seen in the last 24 hours a move below the 34-day consolidation zone. Guys, in this question, we'll be trying to answer one fundamental question. Will Bitcoin go lower on this move? Guys, I do believe that Bitcoin will go lower. I do not believe that the correction is over. I'm going to be looking into multifaceted analysis. I'm going to be looking into the range-bound constructions that we're seeing on Bitcoin. I'm going to be looking into the major macro supports we have on Bitcoin. I'm going to be looking into the short-term price action, the short-term developments. Ultimately, I do think Bitcoin will go lower, but I do not think the macro structure is impaired yet. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the video. Guys, let's get right into the video today. What has happened on Bitcoin in the last 24 hours? It's been quite an important move. We have a multifaceted analysis here today, trying to kind of get down to the root of the main question most people have right now. What is going to happen next, of course, and I do actually have a direct answer for that. I believe that Bitcoin has not finished dropping down. I do not believe this move was over, and I do have some targets for this move. And I also don't think this move is going to be detrimental to the macro structure. I think we will find that this move is going to be a very healthy retracement, but I don't believe it's over yet. So we're going to discuss that in a second, but I do want to quickly just analyze what's happened, what actually happened on this move. Well, what happened was we had a large ascending broadening wedge formation on Bitcoin, where you have an ascending uptrending line that you retest, and then a flat horizontal support line that you're retesting constantly. We had a diagonal descending, kind of a slope downwards dashed line here, as you can see, which we kind of tested on multiple occasions, a few occasions over here and here. We broke to the upside. We were unable to sustain a breakout. We came down, tried to do a resistance support flip, and it didn't work out. We fell right through, hence breaking below the structure. I'm extending this dashed yellow line downwards because I think it might be important for a potential end to this move. I think if we break above this line, that might be important as well. Potentially, we'll have to wait and see. We could just break above it straight into a resistance support flip and then go downwards further, but we'll look into that in a second. But ultimately, I do want to get into a range-based analysis before I dive into short-term to any great extent. As per the range-based analysis, and this is really the chart you need to understand, right? This is a really important chart. If you're going to take anything away from this video, you probably should look at this chart, because this is it, right? This is the big chart. This is the range analysis on Bitcoin. What are these ranges, right? As you can see, I have three color-coded rectangles on Bitcoin, three color-coded ranges. The first one, as you can see, is the absolute bottom of the bear market. That range is stemming from around 18.2 to around 15.2, 15.4K. It's the bottom of the bear market. As you can see, the separating factor between the red range and the orange range is a bunch of retests during this bear market support zone over here, a retest over here in 2020, and also a test of resistance here in December 2022 before later breaking that range to the upside. So that red range is really that's the zone we really want to stay away from. And I'll tell you right now, if we drop back into that red range at any point in time ever below 18K-ish, we're going to new lows. That's basically guaranteed. So that red range is a no man's land. We don't want to go there at all. This orange range is where we spent the vast majority of the bear market in terms of the actual bear market, right? The actual just boring sideways bear market. That's where we spent the vast majority of it. And that range is stemming from the top of the previous range, which is 18.2K, to 24.5K. And we tested multiple weekly candle closes at 24.5K. We also came down and tested it for support over here. 24.5K is the top of that orange range. I would say that's kind of like the more neutral zone, although it's still bearish because we saw the vast majority of the bear market there. In the yellow range we're in right now, this is kind of the what I would consider the slightly bullish / neutral zone. And the reason why I say that, right, and let me just understand what the range is first. The range is stemming from 24.5K upwards, and it's topping out around 32K. The reason why I say it's the neutral zone, right, is because above 32K, where are we going? Look at the chart here. Do yourself a favor. Look at the chart. Look at the left-hand side of the screen here. Look where we tested support during the bull market, right? Look where we bounced on two of the major corrections. Bull market, our first correction of the entire bull market, a 40% correction over here. Where did we find the bottom? We found the bottom in this yellow range, and we actually found the bottom above this yellow range in this candle close here. We did the exact same thing on the major mid-2021 correction, right? We found the bottom in this yellow range, and we closed just above it. This range, right? This range is what separates the bull market price action to the bear market price action. This 32k zone is the separating factor, again, between the bull market price action and the bear market price action. So right now, what we're doing is we're testing to get back into the bullish playground. We're trying to get back into the bull market range. And guys, that perfectly explains why we had such a hard time on Bitcoin, consolidating for, over a month, consolidating for 34 days in this ascending broadening wedge formation. And half the time we weren't even in that formation. It only formed recently. So it makes perfect sense that we found very strong resistance there. Not only once, but we found it twice. And it does make very strong sense. Now, I can understand why, people would get bearish seeing this chart because they think, oh, this could be a double top formation. Okay. And that's an understandable concern to have. However, what we need to understand is that nothing bearish is confirmed until we break below the range. As I've said, we are still in the yellow range for Bitcoin. Look at this yellow range. We're still in the same range until we come down and drop below 24.5k and re-enter this orange range. None of those bearish concerns are confirmed or validated. Right now, they're speculative concerns. That's why I'm not concerned on macro yet. That's why I don't think this small drop in price action, how far have we dropped now? We've only dropped probably, 8-9% from the peak of this move, right? 8 or 9%. We're down 8 or 9% lower than the 104% gain we've made since the bottom. I don't think that that's a cause for macro concern on Bitcoin, not at all. Let me say that again, all right, for people who are getting really, really scared here. Guys, we moved upwards, right? In a relatively short period of time, in 7 months, we moved upwards, okay? 104%. We are now down 8 or 9% from the top, okay? That we moved upwards 104% to. Do you really think that's cause for concern yet? I don't think it is, right? Maybe short term, yes. Macro, definitely not. Right now, we need to stick to the range-based analysis on the macro scale. Understand that 24.5k is the only important level to the downside we actually care about on a macro scale. Yes, there are short-term levels, medium-term levels, so they're more important. But right now, macro scale, that's the only real level that actually matters. So as long as we're above 24.5k, there's really no macro concern to be had. Well, there's no reasonable macro concern to be had. You can look at moving averages, etc. on the weekly chart and start to discuss that, and we will do that in just a second here. So now that we understand the range-based analysis on Bitcoin, which I think is probably the most important part in any Bitcoin video I can do possibly in the next 3 months, to be honest with you, I just think it's very, very important to understand this chart. Now that we understand that, we can move back into short-term, actually look into where Bitcoin is going. Well, all we need to do to understand where Bitcoin is going is understand where it's come from, okay? Where has it come from? It's come from an ascending broadening wedge formation. Ascending broadening wedge formations measured moves are measured from the top of the wedge to the bottom of the wedge, applied to the breakout point. We can see that puts us at around 27.7k in price target. As you guys know, measured move price targets cannot be overly trusted, but overall where the price target is putting us is between two critical levels, right? It's between 28.6k and 27.2k. Those are the nearest major support zones. How to identify those support zones is important. Well, all I need to do is look at horizontal analysis, right? 28.6k, okay, if we're looking at horizontal analysis, was the bottom of this move back here in 2022. It's also acted as a relatively important zone of contention on a few moves here, right? Namely, a couple of rejections over in March. Also, a resistance test here in May, right? The vague area is very important, and especially on weekly chart analysis. If you might remember back to 2022 or even, around that region there, 28.6k was a very important level that we kind of thought was, well, let me just go ahead and clear this chart up so I can actually show you. Was a level that we kind of thought was the foundation of the bull market, right? Basically, the zone we bounced off on multiple occasions is around 28.6k. I believe that 28.6k is a very important vague resistance level. I don't believe it's necessarily precise. I think it's a range between 28.6 and 28, but that's kind of where it's putting us. It's putting us between 28.6 and 27.2, and 27.2 obviously has proven itself as a relatively major support and resistance region by having multiple candle retests throughout this entire range, since around March. So between 27.2 and 28.6 is where this measured move from the wedge is taking us, and I believe that's where we'll find the bottom on Bitcoin. I don't just believe that because of horizontal levels. That would be ridiculous for me to say. I also believe that because of the weekly chart. What do we have on the weekly chart? Well, it's very simple to understand what's going on the weekly chart. First and foremost, we have bull market support band. Where is that? Guys, bull market support band is between 28.6 and 27.7k. If you remember, the measured move takes us down to 27.7, and we've got support at 28.6. It makes sense for Bitcoin to go down and retest that level. Another indicator that supports that theory is Gaussian channel. Okay, Gaussian channel top line. The top line of the Gaussian channel is sitting at 28.6k. Again, that's where horizontal support is. Again, that makes sense for us to go down and retest that level. And 200-week SMA is sitting at 27.1k, which could support a move lower downwards to that 27.2k support, right? So the point what I'm trying to make is this. I believe that Bitcoin will go downwards further. I do not think this move is done. I believe that Bitcoin, and look, here's the thing, right? Obviously, you can see short-term deviations from a trend. For example, you can break above this line, retest this, and then go downwards. That could be a possibility for sure, especially with FOMC coming up in just about 36 hours, or a bit more 38, 39 hours. Okay, it does make sense for that to be a possibility. We're also most likely, okay, going to be seeing a rate hike of FOMC, so that could lead to some volatility. Although I will say, volatility coming from FOMC and CPI have been relatively short-lived recently, and I'm going to look into that in a second, but I want to finish the point I was making here. The point I was making here was that Bitcoin is very likely to come downwards and retest lower levels, such as 27.2k, such as 28.6k. I do not think this correction is over yet. I think we can see short-term deviations, but I ultimately think we will go lower. I do not think that Bitcoin will drop below 24.5k. I think that would be very, very unlikely, and I don't even think we'll come down and retest it properly. I think that would be unlikely as well, perhaps in a very, very weird wick. Perhaps in a very, very weird scam week we will, but I just don't see a justification for having to go that low. It would be interesting if we did, that's for sure, and we'll have to look into that if it does happen, but I just don't really see how that would really need to happen. I mean, look, we're also seeing on weekly chart Bollinger Bands compressing very, very massively, which does indicate that a very, very major move is on the way. If we're looking at the last two times the Bollinger Bands have compressed, all we need to do is look at October 2022, and we saw, look at that compression there for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden a massive red weekly candle, one of the most bearish of the bear market. We look at the same thing happening to the upside, right? Compression over here in January, all of a sudden a massive rally to the upside, right? Triggered by that. So perhaps this Bollinger Band compression is an indicator that this correction will be short-lived and we will jump to the upside. It also could be an indication that we crash, but I just don't see it as particularly likely. I think the more likely move is a correction and then a big move to the upside. I do still think, guys, that Bitcoin will reach the upper 30k region in 2023. I do believe that at the minimum. Really, I think 38, 37k at the minimum in 2023, potentially even a little bit higher would be the target. I don't think that that's necessarily substantiated by the cyclical theory. I don't think this 4-year cycle has anything to do with that claim. But I just think it's the logical move, because as I said, guys, I believe that Bitcoin will reach an all-time high between April next year and November next year, and therefore we'll have to make some gains in the meantime to get anywhere near those targets, unless we're going to see an absolutely parabolic 2024. We'll have to wait and see. We've looked into that claim many times. I'm not going to discuss it anymore, and I won't discuss any more things I'm not going to show on the charts. If you want more information on that claim, look at the video I did 2 days ago. And yeah, so what about FOMC? Because that's really the next major topic. Alright guys, before we get into the video, check out the Bitget exchange. We've got 5 times the lower fees than Binance, reserves information release, everything you need on an exchange is on this exchange. My referral link is in the pinned comment and description below. You can get a 15% trading fee discount on the exchange for life signing up using my referral link. You can also check out the Crypto Academy if you want to learn how to trade. This is a course myself and Megawell have created. Everything you need to know about trading, indicators, candlesticks, etc. is in this course. Check out the website for all the information. And finally guys, the VIP group is available on Telegram. We trade altcoins there in VIP 3 to 5 times a week. We've been very profitable, had some very good trades. 79% win rate over the course of 9 months. It's been excellent, so check that out. Guys, let's get into the video. FOMC, 38 hours until the FOMC occurs, and that's obviously going to lead to most likely a rate hike, 88% chance of a rate hike there, 25 basis points. S&P 500 has been absolutely skyrocketing. It's been an absolute power uptrend for basically, how long has it been now? It's been 10 months of upside. 9 months of upside, almost 10 months of upside. Where's this magic? It's pretty funny to me, really, watching the S&P move upwards so highly, because I just keep hearing the same narratives over and over and over again, and I keep seeing the price action completely ignore those narratives, and I keep seeing the people pushing the narratives ignore the price action. It's like, what am I watching here? It's a fucking circus, the way I'm concerned. People keep saying over and over again, we're going to see this massive crash in the S&P, and it just keeps going upwards. I actually believe that the S&P will go downwards. I just find it funny that people are so happy to ignore the charts for such a long period of time by pushing the same arguments for 10 months. It's insane to me how biased people can be. Again, I believe it will go down. I'm just making the point that Bitcoin and its correlations to traditional markets are objectively declining massively and have objectively, it's not my opinion, they have been declining for ever since the S&P 500 bottomed, okay? Again, I'll say it again because it's quite important. Bitcoin has been declining, okay, in correlation to any traditional market, whether it be reverse correlation, whether it be positive correlation. For 10 months, it's been declining. Bitcoin is becoming more and more and more independent. It's not a surprise that FOMC and CPI are not having that much of an effect on Bitcoin anymore. And I don't necessarily expect it to have a massive effect on Bitcoin this time either. Okay, I just don't expect it to be. I think that FOMC and CPI for the last 6, 7, 8 months have been lackluster for Bitcoin. I continue to think that will be the case. Do I think you should trade around the time that it comes out? No, I still think it's probably a bit risky to do so. Maybe just leave that 12-hour period out of trading. There's not really any point to try and take advantage of excess volatility, especially if it's sporadic volatility. But I just do believe genuinely that the importance of FOMC and CPI has diminished massively on Bitcoin. And I think that's justified in the fact that the correlations have decreased. So of course it is. Yeah. So that's my opinion on that. Traditional markets I don't think are important for Bitcoin at all. If this correlation starts going up again, then I'll start caring again. You know, all we need to look at the fact is that you just look at the last 2 days. Bitcoin's been going downwards, S&P's been going upwards. It's not hard to understand. Look at the entire, since October here. I don't understand where people keep convincing themselves that these charts are overly correlated when they're not. They're just not correlated. Yeah, they were a year ago. They're not anymore. You need to react to the times, guys. And I think also people need to understand these charts only ever correlated. It doesn't show it on this chart here, but these charts only ever correlated to each other, right? Bitcoin, S&P, etc. They only ever correlated when quantitative easing started in 2020. Before that point in time, they were not correlated. Go and look at the correlation coefficients yourself, right? It's not my opinion. These are facts. So it only ever correlated during quantitative easing. So it makes sense that during quantitative tightening, they're not correlated. Perhaps when quantitative easing occurs again, they'll correlate again. I just don't think they're necessarily particularly correlated assets. So yeah, that's my opinion on traditional markets and FOMC. Maybe just keep an eye out for it. Obviously, it is going to cause some volatility, but I just don't think it's going to be a major directional shift or anything like that, like it was back a year ago. What else can we talk about? We can talk about, guys, the uptrending macro line on Bitcoin. And I also want to discuss 3-day chart. 3-day chart, as you guys know, 50 SMA and 200 SMA on the 3-day chart are very important on Bitcoin. They lead to major def crosses and golden crosses. For example, a def cross here led to a downside price action. Golden cross here preceded upside price action. Generally, they're not exactly precise, right? Upside and downside price action doesn't occur at the time of the cross. It occurs because of the cross occurring, and you can predict the cross. Therefore, you can react before it happens, right? Golden cross here, massive upwards price action. What else? Def cross over here, massive downwards price action during the bear market. Okay, as you can see, the drop started before the def cross happened because you could see the def cross was going to happen, and hence people reacted to the def cross before it actually occurred. It's pretty basic stuff here. We're seeing a golden cross come in. Okay, golden cross will be coming in very shortly. Will that lead to upside price action? Maybe. Has the upside price action already occurred? It's hard to tell, right? The fact of the matter is we are seeing a golden cross incoming. That is pretty bullish. And we also are seeing, if you ignore the golden cross, you can also see that these lines are very important for support and resistance. All you need to do is look at 2022 and see that the 203-day SMA held for support, while the 50 SMA held for resistance, and eventually it led to a clamp in the price action and a move. That could happen again here. We could see these things hold for massive support. And where are they sitting? Guys, guess what? They are sitting at around 28.3k and around 27.6k. The point is, these support zones as well are major for Bitcoin. So there is an absolute sheer abundance of support on Bitcoin at around that 28.6k region, between 27.2 and 28.6k, and that is where I believe we will see the bottom of this short-term correction until any other evidence comes out. I think that's the case. I think at least we go to that region. I also see macro support as per this uptrending logarithmic line, and where is that sitting, guys? 27.4k. The fact of the matter is, as I said before, we have a sheer massive amount of support in that region, 27 to 28k, 27.2 to 28.6k, and I think that the correction is not over yet. We will go down further to at least that level, and then once we get to that level, we have to reevaluate the price action. If we start dropping below 27k, that's not very good for Bitcoin, right? Because we will have lost everything I deemed to be important in this video, and then our last line of defense would be 24.5. Ultimately, I do think it is important that Bitcoin holds 27k, but I also think it's more important that Bitcoin holds 24.5, but obviously losing 27k would not be a good thing at all, because then we'd have to break above multiple things again. We'd have to break back into the Gaussian channel, Not that we'd drop below it, but we'd have to break back out of it, I should say, and we'd have to break above bull market support band again, etc. We'd have to break above, this macro uptrending line. We'd have to break above the 3-day indicators. So really, I mean, if you're really concerned about Bitcoin and you're really, really bearish and you want to be, you want to get cautious on Bitcoin before we drop below 24.5k, because I said before, right? Sorry if I'm being confusing here. I said before that 24.5k is the major level. That is correct. It is. But some people might want to de-risk before we lose that level. So if you lose 27k or something, that's when you can start to really de-risk and then buy back once we get above that level again. And I mean, not losing it on the hourly chart. I mean, lose it on daily candles, etc. But again, this is all jumping way too ahead of time. We don't need to discuss this yet. And in fact, we shouldn't discuss it yet because it's going to confuse if my opinions change, because opinions can change when it comes to stuff like this. We don't know where Bitcoin is going exactly in regards to that, but what we do know is that Bitcoin is very, very, very likely to come down and retest 28.6 or 27.2 or somewhere in between. That is what we do know. So the correction, no, I do not think it's over. I think we'll go further down on Bitcoin. That is basically the video, guys. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Again, check out Bitget Exchange, referral link in the pinned comment description. Check out Crypto Academy if you want to learn how to trade, and check out the VIP group if you want to trade with me on Telegram. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Catch you later.